Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, premier AI and quantum venture studio and family office located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GSD that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. So today I have an incredible guest. Marty Ringlein is a CEO and co-founder of Agree.com, a venture-backed early-stage fintech company rethinking how trust, payments, and agreements come together in the digital economy. He's also an adjunct professor at Northwestern, where he teaches AI and emerging technology, helping shape the next generation of builders. Before Agree, Marty has had an extraordinary journey across Silicon Valley and beyond. He's been a chief product officer at a fintech company acquired by Brex, helped scale product and R&D at Eventbrite pre-IPO, and earlier founded Invite, which was acquired by Eventbrite. Even earlier, his company was acquired by Twitter pre-IPO, where he became Twitter's first design manager, building and leading the research and design team. Beyond operating, Marty is an active investor, general partner at the Venture Fund, and venture partner at Next Gen Venture Partners, with investments spanning companies like OpenAI, Anthropic, Figma, Coinbase, Uber, and SpaceX, among others. He also served as a presidential innovation fellow at the White House during the Obama administration, working inside the executive office of the president to modernize government with technology. Today, we're going to talk about building fintech in the age of AI, product leadership at scale, how great founders think, and what Marty is seeing next at the intersection of trust, intelligence, and money. So I'd like to welcome Marty to the show. Hey, Marty.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Well, how was it? So, you've been involved in a lot of these companies pre-IPO. How was the excitement? And were you there when they did the IPOs, or were you there when they were acquired?
Yeah. So I got to experience the Twitter IPO, the Eventbrite IPO, not the Brex one. So we'll see. Hopefully, in the future they'll IPO. But yeah, it's exciting because from the way I look at it, from early stage to M&A, it's how can you accelerate the rocket ship that you're already on, and can you do it by getting on a bigger rocket ship? So you and what you're building and what your team has built, are you going to do something bigger, faster together? And so we had those awesome opportunities because, we forget, Twitter back when it was just 180 characters, when they were just getting their first iPhone app, like that was a unique time, a unique moment in sort of internet history. And I wanted to be a part of that. Even when I think about things like Eventbrite or Brex, like there are these unique moments in time. I think, we're experiencing it right now with AI. This is a unique moment in time to build. And if you can build, go build. And if you can be a part of something that's building really fast, this is that classic cliche. If they offer you a seat on the rocket ship, take it all day long.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I've been in AI 30 years myself, and expert systems. I've been in tech in the Valley 44 years. So I've seen a lot of ins and outs and ups and downs, a lot of great opportunities with these tools out there. So, you put companies that were acquired pre-IPO and helped scale others through IPO and acquisition. When you look back at those companies, what patterns do you now recognize that you didn't see earlier in your career, and how can people take advantage of those opportunities?
Yeah, I think, from the earliest stage, everyone always says the team, the talent is most important. It seems like that persists. That's never not the most important thing. So finding the absolute right people. And the one thing that I've noticed across all of them is, and I think this is going to change now with the new AI landscape, but traditionally, a startup would take about 10 years to IPO. They would hit their first 1,000th employee right about the time they're thinking about IPOing or filing their S1. And then they usually scaled pretty quickly to about 3,000 employees by the time they do IPO. In that time, there's going to be a handful of acquisitions, which means they're going to expand their technology stack. They're going to expand their geographic reach, their market potential, their market segmentation. So watching all of that expansion happen, I think the one constant when it comes back to talent is there's this moment where the folks, and this is, I think, the hardest thing to swallow. I still struggle with it myself, but the folks that got you from 0 to 1 don't always have the exact skill sets you need when you go from 100 million to a billion, or you go from a billion to 3 billion. That's a different skill set. And oftentimes it's not that a 0 to 1 person can't go from a million to 100 million. It's that the thing you need to do, the market expansion you need to do, the internationalization, that's outside their core wheelhouse. Because when they got you from 0 to 1, it was in the US, single currency, single language, like that kind of sort of product dynamic. And so that shift, I think, is the constant.
You know, it's interesting. I was with one of the original team members of Palantir actually last week here in Palm Beach, and you know, we were talking about the early days of Palantir and you know how those companies are built. And I know myself with Click Software, right? We went from 0 to $1.35 billion exit. So we've been through those ups and downs, including an IPO in Nasdaq, and we didn't have 1,000 employees either. But we went out and the market went crappy because the market went sideways, and we had to go out and against all odds, people said it's not going to work, and it did, and the rest is history. But that's it. You know, the other thing is, how important is grit when you're building a company? When you're
I think I love that that book, Grit. It's so well timed, especially I was kind of in the middle of my entrepreneurial career, but it seems like it's it's fundamental, because I think it's the moment at which you feel like it's all crumbling, that it's not working, that everyone's moving faster than you. If you can push past that first moment of doubt or hesitation, I've seen more times than not that right on the other side of that very particular moment, that very first time that you want to give up, that's when success happens. It doesn't, because everyone's always like, we love these survivor bias stories of people that have done it and made it, but we never talk about all of the failures that it took to get there, all the pivots that it took, all the moments of doubt, all the moments of sort of where you're self-conscious about your decisions or your team or the thing that you're building. And so now that I'm less in it than you, but I'm 22 years in. That's another pattern that I recognize, is that moment that I start to get scared that maybe I've lost it. Maybe I've lost the touch. I can't do it again. Maybe I'm like, oh no, this is the good moment.
You can't have fear. I was with Scott McNeely, founded Sun Microsystems, one of the founders, and I had lunch with him in Silicon Valley not too long ago. And I remember a long time ago, he told me, he said, always go to areas you fear the most, you're going to learn the most. I never forgot it. I told him it once. And it's the truth, because if you're afraid, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I love this FDR quote. You can't know fearlessness without knowing fear. Like that's why, like, don't hide from it. Like, embrace it, because I think that fear, all the things we're scared of, they do truly make us stronger.
So you've gone down through. You've been a founder and a product leader inside large organizations. How does your decision making change when you're building from zero versus scaling something already massive?
Yeah, I look at it as there's a big difference between the job and the work. And I think when you're 0 to 1 and you're a founder, those two things are conflated and they're the same. Just survive is kind of all you have to do. But when you're at a bigger company, there's a huge distinction between the job and the work. The job is about building relationships. It's about thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. The work is the individual task that needs to get done by the end of the day, the metric that needs to be hit by the end of the quarter. It's very tactical, surgical, mathematical, where, and I would say it's more quantifiable, where the job is more sort of something that we'll look at on a qualified level. So like, what are the relationships? Using more of like your EQ than your IQ. And I think having the balance between those when you're a founder, and they all kind of conflate first where you're working within a larger organization, and the people dynamics end up becoming more important than the metric, where as a founder, I just need to hit my metric. I just need to survive. I just need to get the ARR. I just need to, make profitability. I just need to get around the corner. Whereas in a larger organization, it's much bigger, much deeper than that.
Your career started deeply in design and user research. How'd that foundation shape the way you think about fintech and AI today?
Yeah, because I think through the user experience. I think through not only my customer's experience, but my customer's customer. So what are they going to experience? I want to constantly think through the minutia and the details. And I think, we know that the devil's in the details, but I think as a designer, you live it every single day. And so that's something that I embrace with everything we do, knowing that every little interaction or experience we put into the product can fundamentally have a big difference. And so everything is designed. How our markup is written is designed. the information architecture is designed, how we use an LLM, how it responds back, how the prompting is, everything we think about from a design perspective.
Let's talk about Agree. What problem did you see in the market that made you say this has to be rebuilt from the ground up?
Yeah, it's this classic quote: "The deal's not done till the wire hits, till the check clears." Whatever it might be. I thought about that, and then I thought about DocuSign, and after you, or any of them, Panda Docs, whoever it might be, but after you sign, e-signature, you get this little checkbox that says you're done. And I was just thinking, well, I'm not done. But it's weird to me that DocuSign, at the time, a $20 billion company, thinks that we're done. So then I just started thinking, well, why do they think we're done? And why can't they take me all the way through fruition? Because at the end of most signatures, someone has to pay someone money. So why is invoicing disconnected? Why is payment processing disconnected? Why is revenue recovery or collections disconnected? And then as I started to ask and answer that question, it's like, oh, this is a fintech problem. DocuSign, PandaDoc, Adobe Sign, they're not fintechs. So it's outside their DNA. And then I started thinking, okay, so I need to stop trying to get DocuSign to be a fintech. And I got to start thinking, well, what if a fintech became DocuSign? And that created this huge opportunity where it's like, wow, for any organization that moves the majority of their revenue through a contract, which is most companies with sales contracts, there's a massive opportunity to connect these dots.
So, it's interesting because I remember meeting the guys from Panda Docs. I was working with Ukrainian and Russians at the time, and I remember meeting them in California I think around 2014 or something. It's interesting and I remember meeting Keith Crack too, when he was at Ariba, and then he went over to DocuSign, right? It's amazing how the world changes. So, when you look at it, let's talk about Agree a little bit more. Fintech always focuses on speed and efficiency, but trust is harder to quantify. What do you think about trust as a product primitive, not just a compliance requirement?
Yeah, it's fundamental. It's also, so the product is Agree, but it's agree.com specifically. That domain, obviously I didn't have it prior. I do love domains. I've got a few good ones. I got marty.com, so I'm proud of that one. But agree.com, we had to go and acquire that. And obviously it comes with a price tag. And we knew that what we're paying for is trust, because we're asking you to do digital acceptance, the signing of a legal document. Some of the biggest ones you're going to do, some of the biggest contracts with your biggest customers, or a founder with their very first investor, the most important documents, you're going to have to do it on our platform. And then I'm also going to ask you to move the money. I'm going to ask you to move your money through our platform. That's a big ask. All of your revenue through us. Doing that on let's try agree.io does not spark a lot of confidence. And I think DocuSign is a great name, but it's very limited. It's DocuSign, like you've removed all ability to have money moving around. That Panda Docs feels, with the Panda, it's super cute, but it doesn't feel as serious. And so I heard a quote from one of our users in a research study where they said, oh, I just assumed that DocuSign was for real estate agents and agree.com was for businesses. And I was like, oh, that's exactly what we want. But we knew, so what we did is we cheated a little. We bought trust. The domain invokes trust. It says stability. And .com still does that. Oddly, all these years later, it's still a significant trust indicator. But with everything we do, the audit trail is really important in digital acceptance. We extended that because people want to know where their money is. I think one of the most interesting things about ACH and Wire is when you do an ACH, there's this like weird limbo anywhere between 1 to 3 to 5 days where you don't know where the money is. You sent it. I didn't receive it. It's left your account. It didn't enter my account. You say that you paid. I didn't get any money in where is this money at? It's nice if we can start to track that. When I think back to AI, a lot of this is data. How do we get more data to use it to invoke more trust along the way?
Well, that was a conversation I had with my friend that was from Palantir, Gavin, and we gotta it's trust, it's empathy and compassion. There's other things that are more human-like we start to got build in it, because nothing good's gonna happen if we don't build I call it provenance right inside of the model. So you teach AI and emerging technology at Northwestern. The students today, what are they most excited about right now, and are they afraid?
So this is my favorite thing. Every year I go in. It's graduate level students, so they've worked in the industry 2 or 3 years prior. Every year for the last 4 years, about the introduction of our friend ChatGPT. Dramatic change. I'd say 4 years ago, when I asked them about AI, they didn't want to talk about it. It's going to take our jobs. It hallucinates. It gives you six fingers. It's a joke to them. They don't want to take it seriously. It's very hard for me to convince them that this is a tool, and it's a tool for acceleration for them. Where today you're hearing this, you're like, well, that's very obvious, Marty. But 4 years ago, that was not a very obvious statement to them. And so they were very distrusting of it. And I had to be very cautious, because the more I talk about it, I look like I'm too much of an enthusiast. And the students actually, they trust me a little less, because they think I'm too far along, or I'm too much of a Sam Altman fanboy, or I've gone to the sort of Elon, other sort of Grok side of the world. And then 3 years ago, they were like, yes, ChatGPT is an amazing tool. We all use it, so we're past it. But they wouldn't step foot in a self-driving car. Didn't trust it. Wouldn't get in it. Now, maybe this is bad because yesterday or 2 days ago, we had the whole thing with PG&E in San Francisco. But this class,
well, maybe that wasn't a bad thing though, because there were people walking across the street, and maybe it was being cautious, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it showed how protective the cars are of us. So this year, all the kids wanted to do it, even if they haven't done it yet. They all want to try it. So I'm watching every single year fundamental changes in how they think about it. And then the companies they work for. A lot of them, because Northwestern's in Chicago. So we get a lot of folks from the Midwest that work at places like Wilson Sporting Goods, Kraft Heinz, Procter & Gamble. So big, older companies, but they're all adopting AI. It's the number one thing the boardroom's talking about. So that's trickling down now to sort of these people who are earlier in their career. And now they're realizing how important it is to the business, how the business will be fundamentally different somewhere between 3 to 5 years from now because of this technology.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a long time ago. Actually, in 2016 in TechCrunch, you continued talking about ontology, ladder networks, variational encoders, those kind of things. And people said we were crazy; it wasn't going to happen. And the billionaire David Yang was my partner in that company, and we built that company up. And I said, this is going to happen. You don't get it. We were 3 years before OpenAI, pre-transformer model. But I looked at it and I said, this is going to change everything, because you now have superpowers. And if you harness those superpowers, one person can be 100. And not only 100 wide, but 100 deep. And so, how can you compete with somebody that's mastered these tools? It's a maestro of the tools. It's impossible.
So one thing we try to leave the students with at the end of the semester, don't look at this as innovation. Look at it as inevitability. A lot of these things are just inevitable. We just have to see around the corner, and we don't know exactly which turn they're going to take, but the ultimate conclusion is it's inevitable. So let's embrace it. Let's understand it. Let's see how the consumers are changing. Because even at Agree, 2 years ago when we first started this thing, somebody in the finance department doesn't want AI touching their invoices at all. They don't want to have anything to do with it. Today, they're uncomfortable with AI sending the invoice itself, but they want now ready to send invoices. They want AI to create the invoice, draft it up, have it prepared. They want to hit the send button. I bet you this conversation 2 years from now, nobody in finance wants to send invoices. They want AI just to send it because the trust will have grown.
They'll do a better job.
That's right.
One of the things that happened, a couple of things, I had stage 3 kidney disease, and I have a multi-agent large language model that we built, and I put it on top of my stage 3 kidney disease. And I said, what can I do about this? And at granular level, and I said, look at all the research out there. And it told me the mesenchymal undifferentiated stem cells from an umbilical cord could actually help me. And it told me exactly the doctor that I could talk to about it, the #1 guy in the world, and who was in Thailand. And so I actually went over, within 3 weeks, I went over and had it done. And so it was actually a miracle. I had 100 million stem cells put in total. But everything changed. All the wrinkles went out of my face. My stage 3 kidney disease went away. It's normal. My energy levels went up. My biological age went down 22 years. I'm almost 70 years old, and everything changed. My whole body changed, actually. And then I started thinking about, why can't we do these things? And part of the reason is because of, you're not allowed to do it in the U.S. for all kinds of different political reasons. And it's crazy. You can live longer. So if we use AI to help us, we built a cancer vaccine for my dog at a molecular level. She had stage 4 kidney cancer. We extracted the tumor and built a cancer vaccine for her And I did that in less than a month. Now, I'm not a smart guy like you. I'm just a poor country boy. But if I can do that, and now I'm one of 700 people in the world that's had 2 full body stem cell replacements. I'll actually have 7. I'll be one of one at the 7th one. And
That's
everything
wild.
changes. Why not live longer, better quality life? You don't need to have dementia and Alzheimer's. It's amazing these tools are out there that can cure it. And people, I've seen them. There's 11,000 people, primarily high net worth, that have had these technologies done to them. And it's Mel Gibson's father had a heart attack at 92 years old. He had it done. He lived 101.
Yeah, and what gets me excited is you were just talking about some of the stuff you were doing just even 10 years ago in 2016. From 2016 to 2026, like I want to talk about from 2026 to 2036. Like imagine the leaps we're going to take.
Yeah.
Because I just saw, I think it was this morning or last night, the FDA cleared the first GLP-1 orally. So not just having to do the Ozempic needle poke in the stomach. Like that means over the next 5 to 10 years, obesity could be eradicated, which is wild. And then we're talking about heart disease. Then we're talking about things, like, and then you get even further with like catching cancers at its earliest stage. Even if we talk about superficial stuff, like baldness will be sort of eradicated if we give these technologies long enough.
It can be now. The people don't get it. It exists today. The problem is we can't do in the U.S. You use things like peptides like cerebroclycin, which goes into your I'm a clinical psychologist too, right? It goes into your neurons and synapses and actually goes down through and increases the neural activity of your brain. It's crazy. By the way, when you use stem cells, it does the same thing. So cognitively, I went up, 15 to 20%, but 15 to 20% from where I was puts me back in time, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible. Because the older you get, the more cells of your brain die. Why not go down through and live a better quality life? It's crazy.
Absolutely. This is fun. This is a fun time to be alive. We will live longer.
In Nigeria, I was speaking in front of 5,000 people about AI and health tech. I'm going to do a keynote in San Francisco at the Health Tech Week there in January. It's just these people should know. It is, you don't need to go down through, you talk about cancer, right? Well, part of the reason we get cancer is because our cells get old. You keep them young. If you do it intravenously, it goes into your blood and it takes care of everything. It goes wherever there's damage and fixes it before it's a problem.
Yeah, I love this founder. She's building loyal.com and she's starting with dogs because she can, to your point, she can do more because we have less restrictions on animals. But her game plan is to show it and have it work there. And then she will move to humans later. But just, again, we do move a little bit slower with some of the regulation.
Well, that's, I have Calvary, which is an anti-cancer vaccine. It's about 40% effective in many forms of cancer. It'll be 80 by April, May timeframe. The guy's out of Arizona. These kind of companies are there, but for all kinds of different reasons, sometimes political, we're not supporting it. Right, and we got to go down through and not take their IP and hide it. We need to use that to be able to help humanity.
For sure.
Anyhow, you as an investor, you back companies like SpaceX, AI companies, Fintech, crypto platforms. What signals say your founder is exceptional within the first 30 minutes?
Oh, my favorite one is Beehive, if you know them, Substack competitor, newsletters. They have just gone through the roof. They just raised their Series B, constant success. But it was Tyler Dank. 30 seconds in, you just know he's got everything. He's got the passion, the energy, the intelligence, the experience, the pattern recognition, the grit, the desire. He will do whatever it takes to win. And he's got a formula and a path forward where he knows exactly how to win. And that was just immediately clear because I got to be honest, when I first talked to him, I'm not necessarily that excited about transforming the email newsletter industry. But now I get really excited every time I see a product update or sort of what behind it, because they're doing more than that. It's beyond just newsletters, but I realized very early on that was his path. Same thing when we talked to that founder at loyal.com. It was clear that her path was much bigger than helping dogs live longer, but that's where she's starting. And so I love these it's a wedge. I love when newsletters is the wedge, dog longevity is the wedge, but there's a much bigger vision back there. I think that's where I get really excited because I know the founder is not distracted by the bigger vision. They're going to go all in on the wedge, and then they will expand and grow like when it's appropriate.
No, I agree with you. And when you look at the dog, so I used my 14 large language models when I did it with my dog, and you can look online. It's really famous now, but she was dying of stage 4 kidney cancer, and we took it out, extracted her tumor at a molecular level, and analyzed it, and then built a vaccine exactly against that. And she went in complete remission of stage 4 kidney cancer.
That's wild. That's wild.
It's nuts. I mean, she's
Yeah.
see online. You can look at, there's an article, and you see her swimming, and it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. It was like, Lazarus or something. I'd never seen anything like that. Anyhow, we're coming up to the top of the show. If you want to stay on for a few minutes after, it would be great to talk to you. So looking ahead 3 to 5 years, what category intersection are you personally most excited about that isn't getting enough attention right now?
Yeah, there's the selfish one. When I look at Agree, I look at like e-signature. No one's really come for it in the last decade, and so it's stagnant. There's a lot of older incumbents that haven't modernized, and so this moment in this time with AI, it's right for that. I look at other ones that are tangentially related. Escrow is another one. It seems like we've all just decided we're fine with how escrow works, and so there's a big disruption moment there. And I think higher level, I get really excited when I start thinking Horizon 3. How will the world fundamentally look different? And so one of the ones that we're looking at is, I don't know if we're all going to wear an AI wearable, but something is going to happen over the next 10 to 15 years where AI is going to capture most of what we all see, whether that's a bathroom mirror or sunglasses. And when that happens, that level of data, I think AI is going to be able to start to put together what I will call a memory in real time. So it'll know this place that I'm at right now with everyone else here, who was here, what happened, what the lighting was like, what the sound was like. And I'd be able to make a video or a photo after the fact. I wouldn't have to do the selfie right here, right now. I could generate the selfie after it had already existed because we'll have all the data. We'll have known what I wore. We'll have known what my hair looked like, what my haircut was like. All of that. We'll know if there's a stain. We'll have caught it perfectly. And I think that's that data that we'll have access to. I think a lot of experiences will change in that future world. Because I look at granola is my favorite right now on the note-taking side. The way it's capturing everything in the background. And it's giving us back real-time insights and feedback sort of at aggregate and on the individual level has just been fantastic on the note-taking side.
No, that's great. So closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I said earlier, Marty.com. So my email is really easy, Marty@Marty.com. I love Twitter though, so Marty Madrid, it's just at Marty Madrid. I'm there obsessively, so I will see everything and anything and always happy to engage. And then LinkedIn's always an easy one too.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join my show today. GSD presents Top Global Startups, and thanks to all of you. We're now at a little over 1,500 podcasts, several million views, and it's all because of all of you. So stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back again soon with another exciting edition. Thank you very much, and thanks, everybody, and have a happy holiday season.